Okay, 1958 carburetor off a 1958 Johnson 10 horse. We've already got it out of the soup. It's taken apart. And then first thing we do is we take them out of the B12 carb cleaner, and then we wash them off, and then we blow them out with air, and then I go through them with this to make sure everything's cleaned out. Go through every port with a wire just to make sure we didn't miss anything. And then here's our new kit. This was the original floats. Normally they come with a polymer float, but this one didn't. So I have some good cork floats. We're gonna swap. This would still work, but we're gonna put a new one in. So the first thing we're gonna do is take the new needle seat, and we're gonna take the gasket for it, pop it on, and put it in right there. Make sure you use a screwdriver wide enough to get to both sides. I know that's simple, but somebody might not know that. And then we're gonna snug that down right there. And then that's snug down. And then we're gonna take the floats and the pin. If the old pin is good, and this one is, I like them because these are usually too long. So I usually take the old pin. We're gonna take the new needle and the wire if we don't lose it, little wire that goes on it. If you can see it right there. The original did not have wire on it. It was just a push in, but it goes on there, and I'll show you once it's together. Then you want to squeeze this. I take needle nose and kind of squeeze this wire right here to crimp it, if I can get to it without dropping it. Right here, yeah. This is why I don't do videos. Don't y'all see how clumsy I am? So we crimp that in so it won't come off, and that's what it looks like. And then that's gonna hook on your float, like so. Well, like so. It's gonna hook on there. Your adjustments for your float would be this would bend up, and then this would bend if you need it. This float should be set pretty well, but we're gonna put that in the hole there. The needle's gonna go down the seat. These are new needle and seat and float, and we're gonna drop this in. Remember that when you do this, that see that goes in flush. Now, when we do that, we want to make sure that we come up. You probably don't. Sometimes your kit will come with one of these. You want this to come up no more than 3/4 of an inch. This one comes up a little bit, but, and that's millimeters, not inches. Where you at? Yeah, right there. So this one comes up just a tad too much, but pretty close. That lets the fuel into your carburetor, and then you want it to be level here, across from here to here. You want it to be level. And if you have one of these, they're great. They're hard to come by anymore, but if you have one, then so it says Evinrude Johnson, 25 through 75, 9 and 15 horse, 2 through 6. So what you just want to do is make sure that your float sits level right there. Mine's off just a tad. So how we'll do that is we will take this and bend it just a hair down to where it fits correctly. Actually, we'll do it with that one. Same difference, but fits correctly. So now we know it's going to shut off. Then we know it's going to go there. Now we're going to take the center needle, which I don't polish these out. I just don't like polishing them with a polisher. I let them sit for a while in B12, and then I run the wire through them just to make sure that everything's good and cleaned out all the way through. We're going to clean it out all the way through, make sure it's clean there. I do soak them, but sometimes they come shiny, sometimes they don't. And then the little side hole right there. That one's too big, we'll go with a smaller one till we make sure that all the holes are good and clean on them. Then I'm gonna put this back in here. We're gonna snug it down very quickly. I'm gonna snug that down right there. It's snug down, and then we're gonna take this. This is probably the most important piece in the entire carb. This goes on here, and that's gonna seal off your bowl. So we're going to take that, we're going to put that on there. So now here we have this working correctly, and if you want to check that, you you can put the bowl on and check it. So we're going to take the bowl gasket and make sure that it's on correctly. It's going to go down there. Once again, making sure our needle valve is there. Bowl gasket's on correctly. This has been cleaned and checked, and still a little bit dirty there. Let me wipe it out some. Even though it was in the B12, it's still not always perfectly clean, but they're kind of funky in there. We did run through the needles here to make sure everything was good, make sure everything was clean there. So now we're going to put this on. I'm going to slide this right down on here like so, and then put the screws back in it. There's 5 of them on this one, by the way. There's one, and it's going to be held up just a little bit by that center piece, because that center one's going to be compression down. So we're going to do that, and the other one goes right there in the hole, and she'll get a bird's eye view of this in a moment. So bird's eye view there now of that. My lovely daughter is helping me today. And I always tighten these in a sequence. So I go front corner a little bit snug and come back here to the back corner opposite that one. And then a little bit snug. And then front corner again, opposite front corner. Just like with putting a head on a car or anything, a wheel on a car, you always want to cross up and make sure that you get that done. So we're going to snug them all. These don't have to be like colossally tight, but they have to be tight. So then we're going to put that there, snug that one. So now, since they're all snug, we will tighten that 5th one about that. And we're going to come back here, another 1/4 of a turn, come here, another 1/4 of a turn, here, another 1/4 of a turn, maybe a little more. That one's a little bit loose. It was the first one we started with. And then 1/4 of a turn or so there. And then we're going to take this. This is the filter. And we're going to spray it to make sure it's good. This gasket does not come with your kit. You have to order these separate, but it goes right there. This one was still in good shape, so we're going to hope that it does not leak. Normally they don't, but the gasket goes in there, and then she's got that. Then the filter goes in there, and then you have the little screw-on piece that goes here. That screws on, snugs that down, and you can finger tight this, or you can give it just a snug. All right, and then we're going to put the bowl, which has been cleaned, as you can see. The bowl, make sure there's no breaks in it. There's not, so everything should be good. We're going to drop the bowl here. We're going to drop the bowl here, and then put this back over it. And we're going to spin this down tight against the bowl, right in the center. And that is going to complete the bottom of this carb, except for the little needle right there. Right there it is. It's just a plug, but we take it out so that it can get good and clean in there. And she's probably not going to be able to get a view for it, but it goes right there on these 58s. Not all of them have this, but this particular carb does. We're going to get it started, get it in there. I know it's a little bit longer video than we normally do, but we're going to try and do a little bit of instructional video now that I have my helper for the summer. And now that, if I can get it to go in the hole. Fat, old, shaky fingers. Don't laugh, someday you'll be this way. She laughed at me, by the way. All right. There we go. Nope, did it start? Nope, not yet. Some people never take these out. And I'm maybe regretting that I did. Let's see if I can get the angle here where I can see it better. Where my old eyes can see it. Get it started back. There we go. Nope. There we go. Now we're going. Nope, still didn't start. For sake of the video, I'll put that in a minute. In here and here where your needles go, this needle and this needle. This one's bent, but it's bent out here so it won't hurt. This is your high idle needle. You got to make sure they're good and clean. This is your low idle air screw needle. And what happens is you have these. Make sure these are little corks right here. You have to put a minimum of 2 of these in each of these. So they have to go in and be pressed down, and you have to make sure everything's out of there. Then these have to go in and be pressed down in there gently. Press down in there gently, 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 gently. Trying to do this for the camera and gonna screw up, of course. But once that's all the way down like so, then we will add a second one. Some people put 3. You can put 3. This is where a lot of these carbs have problem. This carb had gunk filled in it, so it had more crap than it needed. But with that there, then you're going to take your air screw, and I'll have to look back to see which one's which. I believe this one's the top, but this goes here and just a little bit snug to hold those down until you get the needle in, and then the needle's going to screw actually through those and in. That's going to be your seal. You're going to screw it all the way in and then out a turn and a half, all the way in and then out 1/2, 1 1/2. That's going to be a good starting point. And then we will take the 7/16 wrench and we will snug this down just a little until we get going, and that's going to hold us in place. Snug it down. There you go. Same thing on the bottom. You're going to put 2 of these in, and then you're going to put this in, and then you're going to run this needle through that like so. So you're going to put 2 of those in. You're going to put this in here, and then you're going to put this needle in here, screw it in all the way in. And for now, I would just screw this one all the way in and leave it. And then what I do is I always take this out. I drill a little pinhole in that and then pop it out with I have a pick I pop it out with, just so that we can make sure we get through all those holes and get everything cleaned in there. And then you're going to take the one that goes back in it. You're going to put a little bit of glue. This is what we use. Carbureted glue is called 847, 3M 847. Put a little bit around the edges, pop that in, and then you're going to take and set this up level. You're going to take and dent that with a chisel, with a flat punch, tap it and to spread it out, and then you're going to cover that with glue so it seals it back off. And then you put your carb back on with your new gasket. You pick the gasket that's right. It's going to come with many. You pick the one that fits correctly, put it on, and then test your carb. So that's how it works. Now I got to go back and pull this out, put my 2 in, and then put my little screw in the bottom that's being stubborn. But that's kind of an instructional video on a 1958 10-horse Johnson.